Hello, everyone. I'm Williawesome with the Dead League, and I'm still here after 6 years. That is right. Today is the 6 year anniversary, and for the first time, we're actually able to celebrate this with you live on stream. And I am joined by probably the best person to be joined by today, Direwolf.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I have to say this is feeling very special. Having you around on this 6th anniversary, I mean, it is just perfect to be able to look with you into how far DBDL has come, where we are coming from, having a little bit of a chat about that. We are currently looking on 15 seconds remaining on the actual stream as we are living 10 minutes in the future. And we just talked about it, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very weird feeling today, a very special feeling today. It's definitely not comparable to anything we have before. Season 9 might be a great event, but this day with all of you is so much greater. So, Will, how do you feel today? Let's start with that.
I haven't even thought about how I'm feeling. I was so focused on getting ready for match day today. I hadn't put much thought to it, but it's an amazing thing to see. Just this little thing that I started as fun for a few friends way back in 2018. I was still in high school then. I didn't have a college diploma yet. And now I do all this time later, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
It is one of these moments that also make you look back, right, and realize how far something has come since you started it, and sometimes how much time passed, and you can even get a little bit sad about it sometimes, because 6 years, it is such a long time. If I think back on it, when DBDL got found by you, it was when I was 20, and I was on a completely different point in my life there. And I know from the comments that the community has left, the very heart-warming comments, that some people have joined us just recently and already enjoy it, but we also have some community members that are around for 4, 5, 6 years and have some of them watched every single stream, and it's just incredible when you think about that. And I cannot even look to the left monitor seeing the nice comments we have there, because then it's getting emotionally to me too much. So we'll back to business before we are going into that too much. We are celebrating our anniversary. We are having Season 9 ahead of us. It is a very important match today. Calamity and Sinners, especially Calamity, lurking towards the playoffs. They definitely want to take a win here today.
Absolutely. And while Sinners doesn't have much of a chance to get into the playoffs, they absolutely can play spoilers for Calamity. And this is going to be a really interesting matchup, because I think it's still going to be really competitive. Like, yeah, Calamity is currently 5th in the standings. Sinners is 10th in the standings. But the only thing that divides them is one win. It's been a really competitive season so far, and I'm excited to see how that plays out in this game.
That is really important to mention, and something why Season 9 has certainly went straight into my heart, comparing it to any other event, because with what happened yesterday, Eternal is not on the top of the standings anymore. This is a surprise for itself. After the entire season, Eternal was on the top point in the standings. Elysium was trying to hunt them down, but lost unexpectedly very early in the season, and everyone was expecting, oh, okay, now it's Eternal back on the 1, Elysium is hunting them, and now it's all changing, and Ariandel has taken insane surprises this season. We will see them later. Trauma is back stronger than ever. Oh boy, was yesterday showing a nice performance as well, even though they lost. And even Sinners is waking up again. A lot of people, I feel like, have said Sinners, they are gone. They are at the end of the standings. And then came this comeback, and Sinners decided, okay, Season 9 will be ours. And now we are going to start this. And since then, they are playing very, very wonderfully, which means that Calamity might be in a good position, and Calamity might have good arguments to feel very confident today looking at the standings. And when you just take the table or the chart, you might say, oh, this is a game we are definitely going to win. but I believe in the actual trial, it will be a much harder challenge for Team Calamity than the standings are making it look like.
And I absolutely agree with you. And the stakes could not be higher. If Calamity wants a chance in the playoffs, they have to win today. There's no question about that. And Sinners, like you said, they're putting up really good performances, and they've been putting up good performances all season. They've constantly been taking it to these top teams and knocking off a few sets, sometimes even winning. And it's just really impressive to see. And this is going to be an all-out slugfest. But I think we should really get into the nitty-gritty of this match and look at the killers, starting with Billy. And Billy has been it's been a joy to watch this season, especially with I can't remember exactly when the changes were made, but from the last time we saw this much Billy being played, the overcharge changes? I forgot what it's called, but it's just been so fun to watch these Billy players just go around and do their thing and absolutely dominate. And I think it's going to be a really fun round.
Absolutely. We love the Billy basically, or what my favorite aspect about the Billy is the fact that we have this insane pressure on the Survivor team from the start. You're loading into the trial. You don't have a lot of time to set across the generators, because a Demogorgon, for example, you get into the first chase, the other 3 survivors are sitting on the generators. There's not much you can do because of that. But here we have the mobility, we have the first down coming in quickly if it's going according to the plan. And then you're having the to-do list for the survivors getting longer and longer. So this is something I personally really enjoy. And when we are then looking onto the second set, I feel like we have the perfect addition as some sort of counterpart to the Billy. We are kicking it off with almost S-tier gameplay, really, really fast, no time for decision making, really oppressive. And then the Wraith, a weaker killer, boosted with the DBDL balance. We have to say that the survivors have a ton of restrictions, and the Dead Dog Saloon can be really dangerous with that 3 or 4 gen around the gallows area. But it's so much about playing careful, playing for body blocks, finding the correct reset locations, and it's just combined with the Billy, a perfect 2 sets to start a best of 3 with.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit more about that Wraith, because from what I saw in the pick bans, Sinners has not played Wraith this season, and this is the first time Wraith has shown up in any of their matches. So this isn't a killer that they've practiced and prepped for a whole lot this season, and I'm really interested to see what kind of impact that has on them. Are they going to be able to come out with good habits, having maybe not practiced and, maybe develop some less than normal or less than optimal habits? Or is the experience of Calamity, who has played this killer a decent amount, going to give them an edge in that tiebreaker?
And this tiebreaker is like when you have a game like this where Sinners is trying to somehow making it back into the season, maybe even magically trying to get a grasp onto the playoffs somehow, and Calamity needing the win, then Cenobite with this mechanical mind game approach is just perfect to watch it. I really need to watch my voice at the moment, because I did look on the left side following the chat, and there are so many amazing people. Guys, thank you so much. I don't know what to say. It's a wave of positivity and support every single weekend. The past weeks, especially during season 9, the winter circuit before, there's so much love that is getting bombed at us for hosting these events, and you should never forget that you are the reason why it's possible as well, because we can do a lot, but if no one is coming around to watch it, then it would be a very sad cinema that we are trying to build. So the same what you're all writing in chat there, we appreciate it, but write it to yourself as well and appreciate yourself for making all of this possible. Yeah, we are going in already. Big shout out here to Rats, our producer, today, and we are seeing Rocket, Laser, Hein, and Marco on the Survivor team for Calamity. Jason, as you predicted, Will, on the Billy for Sinners. This will be such an exciting trial.
And just like you said, already getting into a chase less than 10 seconds into the game, and looking at our perks, there's no corrupts, which is something I think is a nice change of pace and a very quick down justifying it. Laser goes down. That corrupt would not have gotten much use in a very early first hook for Sinners. Taking a look around the map, we see the survivors are trying to get on Jen's ill. Marco, maybe a little too close for comfort, having to run away. That ruin regressing the Jen, and Rocket already coming in for the save. Jason instantly turning around, going for the tunnel, hunt the Laser. Oh, almost gets the snipe onto Hein. Doesn't quite get it, but this chase shouldn't be going on too much longer behind with the jukes. Oh, body block. Oh my god.
Hein is putting up an insane chase right here, trying to crouch take there 2 times around the rock, but Jason wasn't able to curve correctly, and then even when the Billy attempted to go for the body block on the pallet, making it around, and very, very important first chases here that are coming out for Calamity. Yeah, we had the first hook stage, but now such a recovery play here by Calamity, wasting so much time from Jason. Jason here in the corner, not being able also to make use out of the Hex Ruin, because for that we would need some downs and some unhooks on the to-do list of the survivors, and so far we don't have that. Therefore, we are dropping the chase from the fun bus towards the other survivor over here, now using the mobility to chase some survivors of the generators left and right. Hex Ruin will do a little bit of work, but ultimately it all comes down to a successful down, and we are back onto Hein, who has already proven us in the first 2 minutes here that he's a very confident survivor against that Billy, and this will not change. Going on a longer run here, double vault coming in on the pallet. Jason has no other choice but taking a little bit of additional time, and the juke coming out as well, not even dropping the pallet yet, keeping this resource for a little bit longer, and Jason has to rotate to another generator once more here. Will, Calamity is dominating in this first part of the trial.
It's Hein. It's all Hein. This is the Hein show, and that's all there is to it. Laser goes down, and it's going to be the second down for Laser. We have another Hex being broken, and it looks like we might get a basement hook. We do see a survivor in position for the save. I believe that is Marco. And yeah, it is going to be the basement hook.
That's incredible. That's really, really incredible what we are seeing here. Luckily for Team Sinners, we have to say that we are having the down here onto Laser, because now we're having the chance to eliminate a survivor for in just 25-30 seconds from now on. So this is something that Jason would really need. But a second generator is coming out in the distance, and we also know that the other survivors have been around in the fun bus area towards this truck over here, where we have free access to the generators as well. With the ruin being gone, there's a lot of pressure missing as well. The Devour Hope would now be something that we can potentially put value in for Jason here, but so far we don't have a stack due to enforcing the tunnel out quite rapidly. So I don't think that will be a resource that we will really be able to use. We have a nice rotation back from Jason, expecting the unhook coming in, and now it's all about the question, will Laser and Marco make it out of the basement successfully, and who will Jason pick? Of course, Laser is the target here. You want that survivor out of the game into a 3v1, but Will, I'm honestly a little bit worried that we are not getting this elimination in time, and the gens might fly.
Yeah, my other concern is there's the smash hit, but also the decisive. If Laser can run long enough, that decisive is going to get a lot of value, but running into those tires might actually help his cause, because you don't want to run too long, because then you don't get the value out of that decisive. Another generator gets completed, and Jason has to go for the pickup at this point, but it's a trap.
Wow. Wow, this is just now such bad news for Sinners here as well. Laser again on the run, and you see, this is what I'm trying to show here or emphasize on. Jason is a little bit desperate, I would even say. You can tell he wants to get this one survivor, but he can't. He has to rotate towards the next generator. Then he's getting a survivor there on the gen, but he already has to leave again, knowing that Calamity is on the gens. And looking back on it now, I feel like we should have gone to Marco immediately when they tried to come out of the basement, because going for laser was definitely not the optimal choice here, considering that Calamity is almost ready to go into endgame. Well,
and Jason has to leave. He has to pressure both these gens, but no ruin. It's going to be very difficult. Pine takes the M1 to the back, is just going to run away. Jason's going to leave him and instead go for Rocket here. Or no, this is Laser again. Sorry, mixed up my survivors. And it's going to be the death onto Laser, but the last generator gets completed. That's 3 hook stages for this Hillbilly.
Oh dear, 3 stages into the end game. 1 survivor that has been hooked. That is not the best result for a Billy that has received such updates in the previous time. The crouch tag coming out once again. Marco here with another great showing. Will it even be the 3 additional stages for Jason? Because now also we have the hatch right beside, next to the shack here, and therefore right in the back of the survivor, just a few meters away. And if one of these chainsaw attacks is not finding the target, then we would be in a difficult spot. Therefore Jason always going a little bit too far to be able to block that survivor from reaching the potential hatch. But we do see the crouch tag coming out one more time. We're trying to block the entrance of the shack. Another turn coming out. Will we being able to go for the crouch tag again? The answer is no, but Marco almost making it back into the hatch here. So it will be 6 stages and it will be on 2 survivors, which is still an incredibly well done result for Calamity. But the fact that these 3 stages were also coming out just barely in the end game is something that might really affect the mindset of Sinners here.
Yeah, unfortunately, Marco just got caught out of position and wasn't able to get to the hatch. Jason played that last chase very well, and like you said, it's still a great result for Calamity, but we'll see what Sinners has to say about it after the break.
Welcome back, everyone. We are using the break a little bit to talk about the past of DBDL. And before we are hearing more from Will about what his motivation, I mean, we heard it a little bit in the video, but of course we have to touch more onto that. I wanted to talk with Will about how we met, because that was definitely a very special interaction that affected both of us, I would assume. And Will doesn't remember how our first interaction was. And I didn't tell him before we are going...
You make it sound so bad. I just have a poor memory for conversation. You make it sound like I'm the most important thing on earth.
And I promise you guys, I just said before we went in this campfire chat, I will not tell you, I want your honest reaction. So the first conversation we ever had was after I applied for staff in DBDL. I was not even a comp player back then. And you messaged me back and said, well, based on this lack of experience, etc., I only see you fitting into the Twitch moderator role for now. And I actually denied that and said that was not what I was looking for, but thank you. And then we had half of a year, no contact anymore. It was this conversation. And then I returned as a player, pretty much. And then was the first time when we really interacted with each other tournament-wise. Do you in any way remember this conversation about my staff application for DBDL?
No, and while you were talking, I went to our DMs, hit the auto scroll thing. Oh my, that is not what I imagined. Because this is, I don't think there's a way this doesn't come off as sounding rude, but the first interaction I remember us having was you as a player. It makes me feel really bad I don't remember. But I remember you were a really great player, and I don't know if you took what I said to heart, but everything you did with the Wolf Pack back then and getting more involved with the community side of things, that was really amazing. And ultimately, I think it's why you are where you are today. But it looks like we are getting into the game, and we are going to have Yoka on the Hillbilly for Calamity. And as some of you may know, I am absolutely a Yoka simp. And we're seeing a very different build on Yoka, and already getting into a chase with Jason, the M1 coming through, and a very early tag at the shack, and it seems Jason was able to get a bit of distance there, able to get to a little bit of a filler pallet. Oh no, he runs right back into the chainsaw, and another very early down in this Billy set.
Unfortunately, another rough start for the Survivor team here, and especially the wind condition back in mind. This was a very unfortunate down for Team Sinners here, because we only have 6 stages on 2 survivors, so this is not at all an easy match that Sinners has ahead of themselves. Phenom is being found here as well, was working on that Hex Totem, will take an injury as well. Yokat wasn't too far from the hook, will immediately make a turn and trying to block the window, but Jason is a second ahead of him, getting into a little bit of safety here around the main building. This upcoming chase, Yokat is trying to curve all the way, but this chair is ultimately putting it into an end. I don't think we reach this pallet for free, so we will need one more dodge for the Billy, and we are doing that successful here. Jason, who just played the Billy himself, showing us that he has the experience when it comes to that with the crouch check as well, but Yokat will not allow this to happen, and especially not the return into the pallet right after. We did get rid of the ruin, so we now have free access onto the gens without being worried about a reset too much or a regression coming in, but second hook stage on 5 gens is definitely hard to take for Sinners here.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Jason, he did the dodge correctly with the crouch attack, but then ran back into Yokat trying to get to that pallet, and just wasn't able to make it. As we see, Cafulio working on a gen that's almost near completion. Sweet Child just letting himself be seen, trying to take some of the aggression from Yokat. Phenom also on a generator. No one going for the save right this second.
And we even have our Jake here, Sweet Child, who's trying to stay around. This might be a good idea. On the other hand, you're not working on a generator during that time, and considering we are about to lose a survivor, the generator pressure must really be on point here. Understandable that Yokat is just taking the elimination that he has earned. Going into the 3v1 that early into the trial is definitely what you're looking for. A second sacrifice would mean we are having the Tycon, 3 other chases and stages on different survivors would even mean the win condition early on 6 stages here. So everything is set up for Yokat. All he has to do is basically taking the downs. Now Phenom would be a very perfect survivor to down, as we already have the injury right there. He's trying to find out what generator they are currently working on, curving over here into the filler pallet, and we have Cafulio being around here, dropping that pallet as early as possible to not risk anything, and Yokat is just going, looked like he was going back, but he ultimately decides to get the downy, and it looks like he will be able to do that.
Yeah, unfortunately, Cafulio just ran into no man's land, didn't have anything to work with, and was unable to get a whole lot of distance. And this down could be the thing that wins the round for Calamity. Just camp out this survivor, and there you go, really. It's tie minimum. We do have Phenom lurking around the hook. Does Yokat pick up on the blood? Doesn't seem like it. He's going to be chainsawing away, and Phenom should be able to get this save for pretty much free.
And this is a very important reset chance now that Sinners has to make profit out. Getting this unhook over there that Yokat allowed them does also give them the possibility to pull back, going for a reset here perhaps, but Phenom prioritizes the generators over that, and that's immediately going to find the punishment by Yokat here, who's now getting hook stage number 5, and that also is the third survivor. And as we are having the third win condition, the individual hook stages, the next stage that is coming out, hook stage number 6, will seal the deal and will be the win for Calamity here in this first set. We are greeting for that generator, an understandable choice considering how difficult this situation for Sinners is at the moment. Unfortunately, they are also not able to coordinate the BT hit here, so Kefulio is now going down. Phenom might follow right after, but Yokat is getting stuck in this tree here. Ultimately, a tree is stronger than a chainsaw, especially when the tree, like in DBD, sounds metallic for whatever reason. Sweet Child is the final survivor that is standing here, but Yokat will keep it safe, will take the win condition, and that means Calamity is up 1-0, and honestly, that is so well deserved here.
Yeah, just utter domination from Calamity. And I think the big difference maker between our two Billies was the use of the M1. Jason didn't really use it, whereas Yokat used it a lot more, and the chainsaw was more for mobility or pallet breaking, obviously getting the occasional down. And it looks like we have Sweet Child trying to go for the hero play. Is he going to be able to make it without getting caught? Seems like the answer is going to be yes. Venom has been picked up, but now you know Yokat's going to be coming back to the hook. It's a tree again. +5 wood. And tries to go for the chainsaw over the car. Venom with the pallet, so able to maybe get some time. Pallet does get broken, Venom has to run away. Ooh, nice dodge.
Yeah, wonderful crouch check right there.
Unfortunately, it is too little too late. Venom goes back onto the ground and is going to be thrown on a hook this time.
I would really hope that Sinners is taking an out here just for proving themselves on the survivor side, because going into that second set, you will stay as the survivor team for now, so you really want to feel comfortable, you really want to feel motivated. And it's also important to mention that the Billy was picked by Team Sinners. So we are going into the Wraith, that is the set of Calamity, so Calamity will already feel very confident and very prepared here. And having an out here, and if it's only one stage, at least tells you on the survivor side, well, Calamity might have taken the set point, but they are not dominating us this much. We are still able to get some outs here, and their killer is also something that we can deal with. So somehow allowing them to go through the generators here, showing the efficiency, taking this away for a potential... Hello! Even up the crane. I'm trying to talk about the confidence for Team Sinners, and while I'm talking about the confidence for Sinners, Yokat is pulling such a move here. Maybe Calamity will actually be able to keep that confidence of Sinners under control. I'm not sure if I lost my second caster. Will? Okay, I think Will has a little bit of an outage on his end. That's why you are going to enjoy my very rapid monologue with a snipe onto Phenom there in the distance. What a wonderful final chase in this set right here. This is how you wanna... this is exactly how you want to finish it off here. Super, super well played and really, really well done, Sinners. Still, at some point, I felt like we saw this motivation on the survivor side. We saw this talent for coordination. The pressure was rising, but ultimately Yokat really able to keep them under control here. So Calamity 1-0. Will, are you back with us?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry about that interruption.
Yeah, no, don't worry. No, don't worry.
Yeah, 4K result for Calamity. This is the start you want to confirm your playoff spots. And
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, Sinners go down in the set, and I had wrong info. I was saying it behind the scenes. typing it out, but you were right. It is going to be Wraith up next, and this is the set I am most worried about for Sinners, because, like I mentioned in the campfire chat, they have not even picked Wraith in any of their matches, so I don't know how good their prep is going to be coming up.
Absolutely. This will be a very important part here. Sinners has to basically outperform the preparation of Team Calamity, and Calamity is a team that loves Wraith. They really like it. But while we're on the campfire chat and while we are setting up the next trial, I would like to come back to the conversation we had earlier just quickly, but we kind of went into the game. I really understood your decision back then when you said, I don't see you with the experience yet, by the way. I just wanted to point that out. The second thing is you talked about taking things you said to heart. And now I would like to tell a little story about Will, because Will is someone who, in my eyes, doesn't realize or doesn't want to be fully honest on how great he's doing in some things that he's planning, or even as a human sometimes. I feel like he's underestimating and undervaluing himself. And Will basically said back then, I can notice you have a great community, I can notice you're trying to help, etc. This is really what I want to push forward as well. And often when we text, then he says, I really like what you guys have done there, and I really like that. And Will has done all of this. This is what I would like to touch on today, because we have the founder of DBDL here. And I really would like to emphasize on this. If you're looking on me and my team and what we have done, we are talking about the past 2 years of DBDL. We are talking about the pretty recent history of DBDL. But before that, it was Will for 4 years handling all of this alone. He was the one having the capacity to push for it. He had the imagination of having this organization. He was dealing with all the problems DBDL was facing. He was trying his hardest when we had issues. He was writing messages that we had to share on Twitter, because Will is wiser than me and doesn't have a Twitter account in the DVD community. But yeah, Will, I really like, it's the 6th anniversary, and I feel like we shouldn't only celebrate DBDL's 6th birthday, and we shouldn't celebrate season 9 and what recently happened. We should celebrate that you did this for 4 years and that you have created the entire base. And one thing I can say, I know Will for a quite long time now. I mean, very back then, we were even hosting 2 different organizations, me in DBE and him in DBDL. And all I can say is that Will is a person that is really true to himself. He has his values, and he had an idea in mind what comp is and what DBDL is. And he was always true to that. And this is something that I personally made me grow a lot when interacting with you, realizing that against protest, against criticism, you just stand with what you want to do. And if it creates heat, or if you have to make a difficult statement with DBDL that you don't like, well, then you have to do it, but never give up on your values. And I think this is you, Will, and I think this is what we should also celebrate.
I have so much to say, not a whole lot of time as we are
And
loading in. So you're right, I did do a lot of the work. I remember one of the first things you did when you took over was you took my role as league commissioner and you split it into 4 different parts. Because some of you have been around for a while. I don't, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but you guys know I would solo cast, I would produce, I would score the matches, I would organize the events all on my own. And sometimes the match days were 6 hours long, and I'm just sitting there in a voice chat all by myself. But
yeah,
the next time I'm talking, because holy crap, we're already in the game. We have Rocket playing the Wraith against the survivors of Calamity. It's the same survivor lineup we had last game, and this is the Calamity pocket pick. This is their Wraith set, and already Rocket's just looking around frantically in the bushes, trying to find that one survivor crouching in a bush, trying to be invisible on this dead dog saloon. We do see the corrupt intervention this time, searching a locker even. Just trying to find a survivor, and here we go. The first chase onto Cafulio.
He was right about the area and right about having a survivor around just behind the wall and not the locker itself. Cafulio is going towards that main building, a very understandable choice on the Dead Dog Saloon. Grants a lot of safety and a lot of time loss for a killer. We are trying to move around, having a second survivor coming in for the support as well. So far, Sinners is getting away and showing the great team play here. Phenom is now going to be in the difficult spot, though. We do have a very unsafe filler pallet that we might be able to reach, but not with the little bit of a sprint burst coming out of the cloak. We have one generator being tripled now, and that's honestly a very understandable choice here, because the gallows area is tough on the Dead Dog Saloon. It can spawn dangerous 3 gens or 2 gens that can be linked together to a lot of other resources, like here, for example, the one on the street, and that Sinners is getting this very dangerous gen out of the way early on will profit them later in the game.
Yeah, but we do see Rocket with that sloppy butcher. All 4 survivors have been injured, and that's going to give a lot of pressure to Rocket. These survivors are going to take even longer to try and reset, and it looks like they're not able to. Shack Pallet is going to get thrown, and Rocket is going to choose to leave Jason, wants to try and intercept the save that is happening. And do we have the tunnel? We do. It is going to be Phenom getting tunneled and just following with I believe that is going to be the shadow dance on Rockets at this central filler pallet, and Phenom goes down.
And once again, this forces Sinners into this difficult situation with having a survivor eliminated from the trial in just 60 seconds from now, and 4 gens still being there in the trial. This is something that has put Sinners under pressure in the previous trial, and Wraith is a little bit of a weaker killer here, even though these survivors are facing more restrictions. And having the situation again that you're close to an elimination, 60 seconds, and having the injured survivor downed here next to the gen as well, being a little bit too risky. And now having 2 survivors incapacitated, we get Jason going for the unhook, but Rocket, after potentially going on to the Fang, that is not going to land. We will see the tunnel out right here. Jason will rotate to get the rescue onto Sweet Child, that is leaving Cafulio able to work on a generator, but that is not the biggest amount of pressure here. What we need would be time, and Phenom is going to take it down at the main building here. A headless Wraith is coming in, ladies and gentlemen. The new DLC has dropped. Get yourself skin as well. Very unfortunate, Will. Elimination on 4 gens. Once again, this is feeling quite hard for Team Sinners here.
Yeah, a little bit of deja vu. We're back in the early 3v1, and it looks like Sweet Child is going to be taking a hit. They just reset. That sloppy butcher getting a lot of value, as Rocket, he's like, okay, I got what I wanted. I'm going to leave and go for someone else. And Rocket knows that Cafulio is alone. If he can find him, it should be an easy down. No body blocks to be had. Just one very unsafe filler pallet. But Rocket gets a little bit lost for a second. Swings and a miss. Gets the down the second time around. And Cafulio is going on a hook.
Calamity is playing so much like a playoff team here. We have to say that they are not joking with qualifying themselves among the top 4 in Season 9. They are aggressive. They are well planned on killer and survivor side. Their perk builds are falling together. The sloppy butcher is here really coming in clutch, because Rocket was splitting the pressure at the beginning. Sweet Child doesn't have any chance here but going into a locker to give Jason a little bit of time rotating towards the unhook. But Sinners at this point just running after the pressure that Team Calamity is putting up through the killer rocket here. So there's not really anything the survivors get to decide at the moment. They cannot really decide where to work on what generators. They don't even have the time at the moment to force right there. Interesting that Ace is able to damage something. Same here. It seems like Sinners is on a very, very destructive streak, be having the prompt there to damage a lot of things around the Dead Dog Saloon. Injury coming out as well. Rocket not even following that because he does sense that the rescue would come out. We are getting the absolute proof of game sense here.
Yeah, and this is just, it's a snowball for Calamity. And Sinners, they can't do anything to stop it. Sweet Child goes down. It is all up to Williawesome to pull off the hero play and maybe get something done.
Yeah, the situation being very, very bad. I mean, at this point, you could think about your killer pulling something very, very crazy, going for the third generator here together potentially, or leaving it on 2 completed gens and already setting up for the end game. And then your killer is getting a 4k3 as well, and you're breaking the tie due to the end game escape here. But Sinners decides to try one more time, getting the pressure onto the generators. Feng is waiting around here, does rotate back towards this pallet, is on high ping though, since we're playing South America to Europe, and will therefore go down here relatively quickly. Sweet Child will get very likely another pickup. Ace and Jake now on the same pallet though, therefore Sweet Child just holding W, and I do believe it's coming to the end a little bit.
Well, look, I was thinking this looking at while we're spectating Williawesome. We do see a bit of a slug build, and all this time that Sweet Child is buying means that Williawesome might be able to get to a pallet with Tenacity flip-flop in. If he's the last one picked up, that could be an easy escape through the hatch.
Insane performance by Calamity. Calamity is absolutely shining here, and if there would be like an open application or scouting process for the playoffs where we just judge the performance of teams, well then Calamity is putting up one hell of an application here for the playoffs. Really, really insane. Really, really great to see that. Insane what they are showing us here. We are going to see if Sinners has any chance to take over in the upcoming trial. But while we are going on a break now, technically Will wanted to speak now, since I monologued him down in the previous campfire chat. So Will, the stage is yours.
Oh man, yeah, I lost my train of thought after this absolute domination from Calamity, but you were talking about everything that I've done and what I've done for the community, and truth is, I've made a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes, and I tend to be pretty hard on myself about that. So it's really nice to hear. It's nice to hear it said from someone who ultimately I really look up to, because when I was in charge, it was very much a grassroots feel, and admittedly, that's what caused it to grow so quickly, because there's something about the grassroots tournament that just brings people in. But then I handed the reins to you, and you just leveled it up to where DBDLeague needed to be, and it was quite impressive because from my perspective, I still don't really know how you did it, but even more so back then, I didn't understand how it all worked to make a very cohesive system, because like I said, I was doing a lot of it myself, and I had people helping me, but I didn't know how to make it run cohesively at that scale. And I guess I don't know if you have more questions for me, but I do have a question for you. What was the transition like from being just a staff member to running the whole league?
It was really interesting back then, because I was aware that it's certainly not going to be the same as when I was running DBE, so I was not expecting that we are having some kind of permission switch, and now instead of hosting DBE, I will just host DBDL. This was like the mindset I already came with, and this is also why I instantly said, when you asked me to take over DBDL, why I instantly said, okay, DBE is gone, because DBDL was the leading project of the comp scene, and this is also how I came in. And I did want, I will say that when I was taking over, my biggest worry was, what will Will say to me in 3 months? Because I was not coming in with the mindset of, yeah, we are taking DBDL, let's continue DBE. It was one of the first announcements we made, is also saying that we don't want to continue. We instantly moved away from monthly tournaments. We instantly changed the format a little bit, and we were trying to really stick to what DBDL was and following your handwriting. This best of 3 based tournament, the picks and bans, the season were set. We're still having the structure even 2 years later: Halloween, winter, and the seasons. It's pretty much the 3 main events that we are having. We have some 1v1 events in between, some community nights, but so I wanted to keep this handwriting, and I was very worried at the beginning. I was saying to myself, and I was asking myself when making decisions, is what I'm doing right now making Will proud? As weird as it might sound, but when you sent me a message after a while, I believe it was 4 or 5 months after the switch, we were playing some Swift in between, we were talking just normally, but then you texted me and you said that things are going great from what you can see with DBDL, and you are glad that you chose me for continuing the project. And when you sent me that message, that was a huge relief, because this was important to me, that DBDL is not becoming just something, like just an organization that is hosting events, but that DBDL sticks true to. Because as I described earlier, I see you as a person that is very true to themselves, that really has a moral compass, values, and imagination, how something is supposed to look. And I knew how important it is for you. So I was like, we need to keep this, and let's see where we can make some improvements, but let's not change it. Let's not touch this here. And for a long time, I also felt like I'm in your living room as a guest. It started to fade, of course. The more events we hosted, the more decisions we made. It changed over time, the feeling. But yeah, this was one of the most important things. So the transition was at the very beginning just, oh my God, how can we stick true to what DBDL is, and how can we achieve that in the best way? Yeah, and this is a perfect timing by the teams and our producer. We are in the trial. Right back here, big shout out to Calamity and Sinners for being so prepared and so ready here today. Really, really great to see that. Your win condition is really high, ladies and gentlemen. We need a 4K on basically 4 gens remaining to turn this into a win for Team Sinners against Pedro, Hein, Rocket, and Laser. That will be absolutely not an easy task.
Yeah, and Jason, I said it as a bit of a joke between rounds, but I think Jason might actually have nightmares when he chases Hein at this point, given what happened in the Billy set. But yeah, a very early first tag, and maybe giving him that little bit of confidence that, yeah, no, he can actually do this. And Hein just runs to this other filler pallet a little bit far away, does spot out that Hex Totem, and you know he's going to be calling out to his teammates. And Jason looks like he wants to try and make some distance with that cloak form. Now at this very unsafe pallet, Hein didn't get the stun, so he needs to be very careful with how he plays this. Wins one 50-50. Does he win another? Looks like he doesn't need to, because he just runs and he makes it to another pallet. But that is a lot of resources used in this first chase.
And this will really punish them later on, potentially. since Calamity is ready to sacrifice a lot of pallets like this. They might not have too much fear about dropping the resources given the win condition. We can see how they are working on 3 separate generators to make sure that they are always able to continue on one of these generators, even though it receives a kick from the killer or one survivor is being chased off. Jason therefore has to make a difficult pick here, and if he doesn't somehow create a miracle here, then 2 generators will at least be completed, meaning that the only thing that can be reached here would be the tie between Calamity and Sinners. Hein still on the hook. Rocket is going to be in the next chase here. There's generator number 1, and I wouldn't be surprised if Laser is just sticking to the generator and going for the tie condition, but instead we are going to see the rescue right here. 50-50 mind game on this difficult pallet is going to fall against Rocket here. Rocket, by the way, one of the most experienced players on the 1v1 leaderboard, and therefore very, very strong in the chases. Now second generator has been completed, and 50% on the win gen, basically.
Yeah, and if you're Jason, it's rough sailing out there. We have... Okay, that was a strong connection right there. It looked like he was across that pallet, but a hit is a hit. Hein goes back down for the second time, but given how fast these survivors are working on the generators, it could be too little too late.
That's my worry here as well. Rocket being fully healed there as well, so Jason doesn't even have the chance to pick a survivor that is immediately back onto the ground. We will need that double tag. That's going to be Laser taking the injury very happily, and there's generator number 3 making it clear. Calamity is taking the win today, and Calamity is qualifying themselves further and further towards the playoffs here. Very, very great showing by them. Sinners is now on the side of the killer, trying to get Hein again. We talked about it, Will. The chase between Jason and Hein almost becomes very personal at this point, and Hein just keeps being the stronger part.
What?
That's an interesting stun as well. Hein can make everything possible.
You know what? It's just the game giving Hein karma for that weird hit earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, is that is the Devour Hope. Okay, this game, it might be over in terms of score, but this match just got a lot more interesting.
I feel like it would be the first Mori. I was just trying to check it. I feel like it would be the first Mori of Season 9 that we would see, and if we would see a Mori with Devour Hope, that would award all the stages and points towards the killer there, as it was very well earned. The question is, does Calamity care a lot about the totem since they have met the win condition? Oh, never mind. Yeah, I just missed the audio cue. It is already gone. Don't mind me. Calamity is just a little bit ahead of even the casters today.
Yeah, and unfortunately, no more is to be had, but Hein does finally go down. Jason gets a little bit of vengeance for that Hillbilly round, and it looks like this generator is so close to completion, but Jason already on the way. Laser goes down. Another survivor goes down. Are they just... They're going all in.
They wanted...
That was... That was so close to being done.
Sad.
That is absolutely one way to end probably one of the craziest matches this season. That you got the Devourer Hope and all 3 survivors going down on the generator.
Really, really unfortunate here for Calamity. I really feel like they wanted that last generator to celebrate a little bit on their victory, and then on a 99 it did not happen. Well, absolutely insane. We are having a 2-0 for Team Calamity. Really, really well deserved, and Calamity definitely showing us why they are up in the standings and why they are fighting for the playoffs here. However, we do have two other teams today that are fighting for the playoffs, Ariandel and Trauma, the Russian legends, we could say, basically. And additionally of that, they are in the standings on the 3rd and the 4th place, so it couldn't be any closer than that. But before we are going into Ariandel and Trauma with the campfire chat later on, Will, let's wrap it up for this best of 3 here. Do you think Calamity, based on what we have seen today, should definitely play in the playoffs? How do you judge them?
That is hard to say. I watched almost every single match in the first half of the season, but I haven't been able to keep up as much in the second half. So I can't say for sure which teams belong in the playoffs, because this is a very competitive season, and the way these next few matches are going to pan out, it's a task unto itself to like just try and figure out which team is gonna do what. And what I know right now is I believe if Calamity has a chance at playoffs, Ariandel has to lose like this next match. So Calamity's done everything they can to win at this point, but it's really tough. This team looked amazing in this match and in the matches that I've seen. So do I think they deserve playoffs? In any other season, I would absolutely say yes. In this one, I don't know. A lot of the teams are just that good.
Yeah, that's very understandable, because Calamity also, they definitely need to win in the final week, that's for sure as well. They're not through just yet. Meanwhile, Trauma or Ariandel, I strongly believe, I will have to double check, so correct me if I'm wrong, but whoever wins today between Trauma and Ariandel is definitely in the playoffs.